Hey, what's up, YouTube? I'm back. I got a new haircut, and I'm ready to talk to you today about something less political. Let's talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! All right. So, right now, the August 2016 ban list just dropped, and I want to talk to you a bit about it, about the future of the meta and how this changes the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I recently just got back into it, and it's a really exciting time to play. So let's go right into some of the changes that are going to be affecting the game right now, right? So we have, starting off, Performapal Monkey Board. All right. So where did I? Okay. So Performapal Monkey Board, basically, it's very powerful because it is a one scale card, right? So yeah, even though its effect says it can become 4 scale, you're not going to be playing this anywhere besides a Performapal or Pepe or whatever you want to call them deck, in a Pepe deck. So instead of being 4, it's pretty much always guaranteed to be a 1 scale. It has a searching effect. It's just all around a very powerful card, and it was limited, and it being limited was not enough to damage the deck. So Konami was just like, you know what, rest in peace. Some people argue that Pepe is still viable. I don't think it is, but I haven't been playing long enough to know. So, but Pepe is dead. Or Pepe is not dead. The monkey board is dead. And then there's just one more other card that was limited, which is Kaiser Coliseum, which we can talk about now. I don't know if I took this. Yeah, sorry guys. All right, let me just Google this real quick. And I misspelled Coliseum. Whatever. Sorry about that. Just I want to get this done quick. So Kaiser Coliseum. Basically, it's not really a relevant card this meta. I've played against it a few times in some like anti-meta decks and some rogue decks, which really Konami shouldn't be hurting rogue decks. But the reason they chose to do it here was not because of the actual card being broken. It was because of a ruling situation. So the card's basic effect is that if you have one or more monsters on the field, your opponent cannot summon any. Your opponent cannot summon monsters if they have more monsters. So the most common way it's used, if you have one monster on the field, then it's like basically you can't summon anything. So this had a ruling situation because Monarchs got really big, and now Monarchs are dead basically, but Monarchs were really big, so it's not really relevant now. But just in case Monarchs didn't die, I guess they figured, okay. So this, okay, well let me go back a second. The Monarch Stormforth. Its effect basically lets you tribute your opponent's monster to summon your own monster, right? Which is a really cool effect. So in doing so, you know, it brings up a ruling situation of whether or not you contribute your opponent's monster and whether or not you can do it in the first place and blah blah blah. And Konami was just like, you know what, it's too confusing. Let's just get rid of it entirely. So a lot of players are upset about it, but I can kind of understand it. But yeah, people are upset about that, even though specifically because it doesn't affect the meta, right? Konami should only be focusing on the meta, which they did. So well, they mostly did. So now we got Sir. We're going to the limited list. We got Sir Malebranche, which went from semi-limited to limited, right? So am I gonna have to open up another one? Wait. Got really close, sir. I didn't mean to close up, sir. Yeah, I did. All right. Twice. We gotta do this twice. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I meant to have I had all the links ready. I didn't want to click on each link, but whatever. So basically, Sir is very powerful because you can target one Burning Abyss in your monster in your graveyard, and you can special summon it. Now, semi-limiting to limiting it really doesn't hurt the deck that much. It's a little bit less consistent, but that's it. I mean, if Sir got banned, it'd be a big deal, but because of the fact that it's still limited and Burning Abyss can just go through the deck so easily, it's really not that big of an issue, right? So Sir getting limited, really not going to shake up the meta that much. Burning Abyss really not affected that much by it. They're affected more by another card, which I'll get to in a second, but I think they're still going to be relevant. So now we're on to Monarchs, right? So we're on Ether, okay? So Ether, yo. Okay, so what happened was that I actually recorded this before, and I had all the links ready, but because I had accidentally streamed instead of record and just screwed it up, I guess I exited out of some links even though I shouldn't have. But yeah, so here's Ether, and Ether's very good in Monarchs, and Monarchs, like I said before, are dead because they hit Ether and they hit 2 other cards. Now Ether is really good because You can tribute summon him during your opponent's turn. He can special summon any monster. Very good card to special summon is his name, not Cosmo, Curaz. Curaz is a really popular card to special summon with him because Curaz can take out 2 cards on the field, which would really disrupt your opponent even though they get to draw, or he can be a really good draw 2 card. Just very powerful all in all. So, you know, it's pretty much like, it's very good. And the monster can attack. Obviously, Curaz can't attack, but it doesn't matter because Curaz is so good. So, Ether just got hit, which is one of the many reasons why Monarchs are dead. Next up, we have Cosmo Dark Destroyer, okay? So, Cosmo Dark Destroyer is probably the biggest card people wanted to get hit by this list. People didn't want a ban, they wanted limited, and they got it exactly what they wanted. I have a Cosmo deck coming in the mail, so it's good that I learned Cosmo, so let's read this effect together. If this card is normal or special summon, you can target 1 monster on the field, destroy it. Alright, so right there, it's already great. It cannot be targeted by opponent's effects. Right there, that's great. If this card is destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard, you can banish the card from your graveyard, special summon 1 level 7 or Cosmo. So it's just fantastic. I mean, Cosmo is a really strong archetype, and a lot of people expect that they're going to be a tier 1 deck just because of how fantastic this card is, or how fantastic the rest of the deck is, and limiting Cosmo Dark Destroyer doesn't really hurt the deck much, and they actually help the deck in this ban list, which is really surprising, which I'll get to in a little bit. Not directly, but they help it a lot. So Cosmo Dark Destroyer at 1, and then we got my favorite addition to this list, and a lot of people are really upset about this, but I'm so happy about this, is Magispector Unicorn Kieran, right? And I played against a few of these in the tournament I played in last week. So this card, right? This unicorn with the funny mustache, all right? Another pendulum monster. So it's a 2-scale pendulum, which is already great. It doesn't have a pendulum effect, but people don't really put it in the scale anyway. What this card does is during either player's turn, you can target 1 pendulum in your monster and 1 monster your opponent controls, and return them to the hands, right? So that's really disruptive. The fact that you can do it on your opponent's turn is incredibly disruptive. Even though you can only do it once per turn, that's crazy powerful. And then on top of all that, it cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's effect. Targeted or destroyed? What the hell? I'm surprised this card wasn't banned. This card was way too powerful in my opinion. I'm just glad it's only at 1. Like, it's just way too powerful. I'm sorry, guys. I know you're hurt by this news, but that card is just ridiculous, okay? I can entirely see why it got limited. Alright, so now we're on to the limited spells. So we have Emergency Teleport, right? So Emergency Teleport, this one kind of hurts because I have some coming in the mail, and I'm just talking about me, but it hurts the meta because you're kind of hurting meta decks at the expense of rogue decks because Psychics are a really cool support type. I've loved this card since it first came out, I think like 5 years ago. I remember when it first came out. I pulled it from a pack even. When Psychics first were released, and it's gotten really strong in Cosmo and a few other decks. And I think it hurts rogue decks more than meta decks because it's just a really awesome card. I mean, you know, losing it, I get why they, you know, kind of like Rhoda, where it's just kind of a vague card, so it helps a lot of decks and they want to get rid of it, but losing it is going to hurt. So rest in peace, Emergency Teleport. Well, it's not rest in peace. It's still a 1, but, you know. And then we're back to Monarchs. Now, this, in my opinion, hurts Monarchs the most. It is the card probably the most, even more than what's his name? Dark Destroyer. Pantheism of the Monarchs. Everyone wanted this card gone. In fact, people thought it would be banned, not limited. But even limited, like, it's too much. I mean, that plus Ether plus Stormforth, which we're going to get to, just destroyed Monarchs. Pantheism was really strong because it was a Destiny draw, essentially. You send a Monarch spell trap card to the hand, you get to draw 2 cards, and then on top of that, when it's in the graveyard, you can banish it to search any 1 card to your hands. Well, you get to choose 3 cards, essentially, and your opponent chooses which one to add to your hand. That's our Monarch spells if you banish it. And then you can only use this effect once per turn. So you can still do the draw 2 like 3 times and then banish and then get 1. It's just insane. It's a really powerful card. It's the reason why I wanted to run Monarchs in the first place. Such a good card, and I can totally understand why it was limited. Just a little bit too close to the sun there, I guess. Very almost close to perfection. Like very good card. And then finally, like I said, Monarch Stormforth, which we kind of went over briefly before uh, with the pendulum. So here's another one. The Monarch Stormforth. All right. So all in all, this card is this card. Okay. Actually, I take it back. In my opinion, even though everyone and their mother hates this card, I disagree with this choice. Okay, not even if I played Monarch, I just disagree with it because it is a soul exchange. It's a slightly nicer, searchable, quick soul exchange. Okay, and soul exchange is not that big of a card in the meta, just because I guess it's a regular play spell, and Monarchs weren't that big. I guess you can replace it, but it's not searchable, so it won't be as popular. But I think Ether. Okay, it's harsh. Okay, Pantheism is harsh. Okay, both of these are harsh. Okay, limiting. But you could have done either or and still had the deck be viable. Now both, I don't know if the deck would still be viable, but almost. But then Stormforth to 1, it's just a really tough situation. It's already harder to get Stormforth because of Pantheism being gone, so it's harder to get Stormforth in your hand in the first place. And then just seeing it limited just means you're barely going to play Stormforth. It's a very hard card to play now. So basically, rest in peace, Monarchs. I mean, I just, unless they get new support or something, I don't see them coming back to the meta because it's really, really rough. All right, so no traps. I don't think traps were affected at all, actually, in this list. Nope, traps were not affected at all. So finally, we get to the more boring part, or not, I guess not boring part, but the less, people care more about what's forbidden and limited. But semi-limited does matter too. So the first new card on this list, or the only new card in the semi-limited list, which means you can only use 2 of that card in the deck, is Max C. Now Max C, this one, it hurts, but it's not that big of a deal because a lot of players would already opt to play only 2 Max Cs in the first place. It's anybody who's played Yu-Gi-Oh in the last few years knows this card. It's one of the best cards in the game, many would say. Most people play it. Neither their main. A lot of people just play in their main deck, but some people play it. But like 99% of people have it in their side deck. I have a few of these. I'm actually gonna get a lot of these in the mail, so I'm very glad it wasn't banned. But just being semi-limited, like, it's not the biggest deal, okay? And it actually lets you to be a little bit more consistent with your extra deck. So it's a little unnecessary, but I'm not gonna complain. It's fair. Okay, it's a fair thing to do. Fair. Most of the things on this list actually are fair, except for what they did to Monarchs. Everything else is fair in my opinion. Okay, except they could have limited. They could have hurt Cosmo, and they could have hurt Burning Abyss a little bit more, especially Burning Abyss. But both Cosmo and Burning Abyss are probably gonna remain top tier decks, as well as Blue Eyes. At least until the new decks come out, but even then they'll still be very powerful. All right, so finally, well, not finally, we got a few more. So we have Thunder King Ryo getting semi-limited. Now, I don't know how I feel about this because I think it's great. It kind of helps. It helps rogue decks a lot. Basically, it's effective, and this card's been around forever. It started as a staple, and then as the power creep continued, it still has its place in certain decks. And getting semi-limited, I don't know if it's going to see much use semi-limited. Neither player can add cards to their deck to their hand except by drawing them. Now that effect alone is incredibly powerful. All right, and then on top of that, you can send to the graveyard to negate a special summon. However, just keep this in mind because I didn't know this when I first started playing. You can only negate the special summon of a monster who's special summoning itself essentially. If it's something like Monster Reborn, obviously Monster Reborn's not in the game, but you get me like a spell card or a trap card called the Haunted, or something that targets the monster and special summons it, Thunder King Ryo will not negate that, okay? So that kind of hurts, and part of the reason why I think it's fair for it to be semi-limited, and just the fact that it stops people adding the cards from their deck to their hand, which is a big way that modern decks operate, is really nice because it'll give meta decks kind of that push they need to maybe have a bigger variety of a meta. All right. So, actually, I didn't go over Pendulum Call, did I? No, I did not go over Pendulum Call. Oh, sorry, I skipped a limited card. Sorry about that, guys. So, Pendulum Call, right? And this is another card that kind of hurt Pepe, and a lot of people are kind of upset about this one. I'm not familiar with it, so let's. Well, I've played against it, but I haven't really looked at it that much. So you did basically discard a card. You had 2 Magician Pendulum monsters with different names for decks to your hands. Okay, that alone is already pretty ridiculously good, so I can understand. Until the end of your opponent's turn, after this card resolves, Magician cards cannot be destroyed by. Okay, I remember this. Yep, I agree. It's too broken. I agree. So I wouldn't like. I agree with it getting limited. People can disagree with it, but even if you can only activate 1 per turn, I still think it's too powerful. They even wanted it not to get limited by having this little. You can only activate 1 per turn, but that is not enough because it's just. I mean, the pendulum cards not be able to be destroyed until your opponent's next turn after this card resolves. I think it actually goes longer. I don't know exactly how long it goes, but I just think it's too powerful. I mean, even with these little caveats at the end, you cannot activate this card if you activate a Magician monster's pendulum effect this turn. It's not enough to stop it from being good. It's a very good card, and I cannot see why it was limited. Now, sorry about that. Let's go back into the last semi-limited card, which is Wind Up Magician. Now, people, and what was it, limited or was it? Yeah, it was limited. So this went from limited to semi-limited. Giving Wind Up a little bit of love. I think the power creep has been too much for Wind Up monsters to come back. I don't know how relevant they've been, but I don't think they've been super relevant. A few years ago, they were kind of relevant. They were a top tier deck at one point a few years ago. But the ban list hurt them, and now they're like, okay, we hurt Wind Up a little too much. So let's give them Magician to 2. It's not that big of a deal. It's nice of them. It's a little charity. It's nice of them, but it's not going to bring Wind Up from the grave or whatever. They could probably bring back. If they brought back something else, maybe Wind Up would be a bit more relevant. But just putting a card that was limited to semi-limited is not enough in this case. It is a very good card though, but whatever, that's fine. All right, so let's and then we have finally 3 cards that were removed entirely from the list. All right. First of all, we have Thousand Eyes Restrict. Okay. Now, when this card went from banned to limited, people were freaking out, okay? Because when this card was banned, like, there's been so much power creep since the Pegasus days that, like, it wasn't really, why is this even on the list? And, well, let's look at its effect. It is a very good effect. Other monsters cannot change their battle position or attack. Once per turn, you can equip 1 monster your opponent controls to this card. This card's attack and defense become the same as the equipped monsters. This card will be destroyed by battle. The equipped monster is destroyed instead. It is a pretty awesome card. Don't get me wrong, it's a pretty awesome card. I don't know how much play it's gonna see, but it depends. I was watching the World Championships, and this did see play, and the announcers were freaking out. The announcer was like, "This is the first time we've seen Thousand Eyes Restrict at the World Championship since 2004." They were making a big deal about it. So it'd be super nice if this card becomes more competitive. I don't know what decks would use it the most, but it is pretty fantastic that it's back. And then we have then we have Allure of Darkness went from semi-limited to it went from semi-limited to full, and this card helps Cosmos, right? So even though they got rid of Dark Destroyer, Allure of Darkness and our next card really help Cosmos. So Allure of Darkness, you draw 2 cards, then you banish a dark monster. If you can't do that, your entire hand is sent to the graveyard. So it's a pretty fantastic effect all in all. Even discarding your whole hands can be useful in some decks. And, just drawing the 2 cards is just super nice. And then banishing a dark monster, it actually helps in Cosmo. And then finally we have Gold Sarcophagus. You can banish 1 card from your deck. During your second standby phase, add that card to your hand. So that's already pretty good. But when you banish a Cosmo monster, its effect will go off or something, and then you do all these combos and stuff, and you can get it. I mean, so I'm not fully sure how Cosmo works. I need to do some more research, but Gold Sarcophagus. A lot of people expect to see 3 Gold Sarcophagus, and they expect to see 3. Well, I got rid of it because I'm stupid, but 3 Allure of Darkness in the Cosmo deck. So basically, all right. So that's the whole list. There wasn't that many changes, which is kind of why I wanted to make this video. Well, actually, this video has been going on for nearly 20 minutes. The time just flew, but there was like a dozen or so changes we went over. Very interesting. So basically, the too long didn't read version of this list, which I don't know why too long. I don't know why you'd watch the video at the very end, but if you do, Basically, Monarchs are dead. Burning Abyss is still relevant. People say, oh, one card I actually didn't go over. Oh, I did forget another card. I forgot Beatrice. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, you see so many mistakes in this video. Whatever. As you can tell, I'm new to making videos. But alright, this is the one last card, guys. And this is a limited card, okay? So another limited card I missed. And this is why Burning Abyss, people say it is hurt a lot. It's still going to be a top tier deck. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. Burning Abyss is way too much awesome stuff. You know, it'll survive with Beatrice at 1. Okay, but the reason people are saying this hurts is because, well, basically the way this card works is you summon your Dante, right? Which is still at 3, which is crazy. So you still have your Dante. You put Beatrice on top of Dante. And then you summon, and then if you summon it that way, the effects can't be activated this turn. But the next turn, you can be once per turn during either player's turn. You can detach one XYZ material from the card, send one card from your deck to the graveyard. So normally you'll play it, and then you'll use the effect on your opponent's turn, and you send one card from the deck to the graveyard. Okay, that's super awesome. Okay, this card in your possession is destroyed by your opponent's card, so that's already great. And at the very end, so if it's destroyed by your opponent's card, you can special summon a Burning Abyss monster from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. It's a fantastic card. And I think it's going to be very relevant. You know, even at 1, it's really nice to have even at 1. Yeah, not having 2 is going to hurt the deck, and some people I've seen like say that it's going to hurt the deck a lot, but I don't think so. So it just depends, you know, what you think. But I think Burning Abyss is still going to be a top tier deck. Cosmo is going to be maybe the tier, like the top deck. Like, it's going to be such a great deck. Even with Dark Destroyer at 1, they absolutely did not hurt the deck that much. And then Cosmo got hit a lot. And it depends who you ask about this. Another controversial one is the State of Pepe, or Magispector, or whatever they're called. I'm going to say that it's pretty much they're banned. Okay, like, or not that they're banned, but pretty much I don't think they're going to be in the meta anymore. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching so much. I don't know if I'm going to do more Yu-Gi-Oh videos in the future. I really want to do it because this is literally the state of the game that I want to go over. Maybe I'll do some videos like that. I want to do some DDR streams. I want to do some more streams and stuff. Right now I'm working on I'm playing Deus Ex. I'm working on that review. I'm going to start posting the reviews I've been working on. I have one for the Is It a Classic reviews for Skyward Sword and for The Witcher 3. So stay tuned, guys. I'd really appreciate if you like this video, if you subscribe. If you don't like my political content, I'm sorry, guys, but I think it's better to have both of them on the same channel than to separate them, you know, because I could separate them and have it be 2 separate things, but I'd rather just put it all in one. My video game stuff, my political stuff, all in one. You know, if you disagree, by the way, if you disagree with my opinions are not 100%. You know, I don't disagree with you. Like, if you disagree with the fact, like, if you're against, you know, if you support Black Lives Matter, if you support certain things that I'm against, you know, that's perfectly fine with me. It might not be fine with you, and that's another issue, but, you know, people disagree, and that's life. So whatever. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great time. Until the next video, thank you and good night.